Hey, with the injury, regarding the injuries, so out today, Mims, hamstring, Clark, shoulder, McDermott. Okay, well, we good news yesterday after, kind of an ugly play there. He'll be week to week with the knee, but, we should get him back at some point. Um, so that was good news for us yesterday. Deshir with the hamstring, Kafusi with the hamstring, uh, Poole with the dehydration, Burgess low back, Jabari with the quad, and then two guys that went out of practice today, Farley with the hamstring and then Willis with the knee. Um, for the most part today was some good situational work. We got a lot accomplished here in the last couple of days. We're kind of at that point where majority of things install wise are in. Now it's about just keep improving in what we're doing, adding things here and there, talking through situations, working through situations, and really trying to, make sure that, we get the bread and butter of what we're doing on both offense, defense, and special teams, really honed in before that first week of the season. So with that, wherever you guys got.
Adam, I know you've kind of just said like it's the wait and see approach, but I just wondering, do you anticipate specifically Mims and Desir practicing when you guys come back from tomorrow's day off?
Yeah, it's hard for me to say. We'll see kind of where they're at. They're not on the same timetable. I'm not really sure what that exact date they would come back, but you guys will see them start working in and working on the side. I always look at it as when you start seeing them working on the side while we're at a practice, that's positive. And then we'll get them going in individual and then progress to the team stuff.
What does Chris Hogan bring to the team, and how familiar are you with him, having been in the division against him?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a few games where I can go back and say he did some good things against some of the teams that I was on. I mean, he's been in quite a few games that I've been on the other sideline. You got a guy that's he's been around for a minute. He's played on some really good teams. He's played in some big games. He definitely has, he's a guy that from the time he's come in the league, he hasn't changed. He's big chip on his shoulder, always trying to prove people wrong. He's a quick study. I mean, for him to be able to jump in there on some of the plays today and know where to line up and know what to do and be able to execute and make a couple catches and very competitive. Really, really like being around him.
Adam, with Brian Poole, I mean, I think it's almost a week or several days with the dehydration. Has it? Is it beyond dehydration? Has he been hospitalized at all, or what?
He's getting better. He's over at the. We had him at the Archer. He's coming over here. I think we were taking this slow because it was, a situation where, a lot of us got pretty nervous just the way that things kind of happened after practice. I mean, it just kind of, I think it caught everybody off a little off guard, but, our guys handled it well. He's getting better. It's just, we're taking it slow. We got to find a way to make sure that he's in a good place and we can get him on the field, progress things the right way to where he can finish practice and then get him in the kind of shape he was when we hit the season last year.
This might sound silly, Adam, but did he just not drink water or have any kind of liquids during that practice?
Yeah, he's had, in the past. I mean, we found this out last year, where it was, those first couple of weeks where, he exerts a lot. He tries to do the right things and put the right things in his body. It's hard for me to explain. I'm not a doctor, so I kind of going off of what I see and what I'm told.
The one player, I'm just a quick follow up on a separate topic, but the one player that seems to be flashing time and time again, basically every single practice is Marcus Maye. Obviously before he was basically just kind of deep and you didn't really notice he was there, but now, I mean, he's I think he had a sack today on Sam. He's been breaking up plays, man-to-man coverage. I mean, can you just talk about what you've seen from him in his expanded role this year, and then also as a kind of an offensive-minded guy, how challenging he makes your life when someone like that's on the field?
It's challenging in the aspect of you're not really sure what he's going to do when he's lined up. You don't know if he's coming. You don't know if he's going to the middle of the field. You don't know if he's going to half field. Don't know if he's going to play underneath coverage. Marcus has very good awareness, especially in zones. He's really good in man-to-man, has a really good ability to break up balls in man-to-man coverage, which, you notice out here, he gets a lot of hands on the ball. He's got pretty tough matchup every day when him and Chris Herndon go at it. It's fun to watch when you're either a coach or a spectator. I mean, that's a good matchup. I mean, those two guys are two good players going at it. And Marcus brings a lot of versatility, and he's extremely smart. He's able to help get guys lined up and make things look like one thing and get to something else. He's one of those guys that there's nothing that you can say that he doesn't do well.
Can you talk about Wesco?
Okay. What's that?
Adam, what's your Le'Veon plan? Because last year I remember we asked you every day, is he playing in a preseason game? This year you don't have that issue, obviously. So what's your plan? It looked like he wasn't getting that many reps. It looked like Gore was getting more. So how do you plan to get him ready for week 1?
Rich, really, I know what you're doing. You're trying to stir it up already.
No. I'm just.
We got to set him out, set amount of plays. We're kind of trying to balance out both those guys' reps. Obviously Frank's older than him, but at the same time, we're making sure Lev is getting what he needs to get. Some days are going to be more than others, but for us to go this many days and just run him to death, it's just not even. That's not what we want to do. We want him to feel comfortable, with what he needs to do with the offense, get him plays that, whether they're new or in getting him some touches that kind of get him in the flow of practice, but we're not going to overexert either one of those guys. We're trying to just make sure that we're balancing this out in the long run. I'm shocked you would ask that question.
Adam, what did you see from Bless Austin last year in the second half of the season when he played a lot for you guys? Confidence,
real confidence. If something bad happens, he moves on to the next play. To me, it's the hardest thing to learn as a young corner is you're going to get beat. It's about how you bounce back and what you do the next play. I do think his knowledge of the playbook is getting better day to day. We do, obviously you guys are at practice, you see the variety of things that we're doing, a lot of different situations. And, those corners have a lot of different things that they have to learn how to do. Obviously Greg pares it down as we get closer to the season, but right now they're trying to see who can do what. And, it's for a guy that went a couple years without playing. And then last year he started playing for us and actually started games for us. He didn't even know what he didn't know. And now it's, as he's kind of gone through last season, then he was able to go back, evaluate all that himself. He's trying to learn every day. I think that's something I really do appreciate about this kid is, he studies other corners. He'll ask questions. Hey, why are you guys doing this? He's trying to do everything he can to get better.
What did you learn about him, Adam? Because there was a point late last season where I think Greg benched him, and obviously for some players that can be a mental shock and derail them a bit. So the fact he's come back and played the way that he has this camp, what did you kind of learn about his bounce back and his resiliency?
Yeah, it's that ability to move on from what has happened in the past. You can't keep thinking, you can't look in the rearview mirror being like, oh, I screwed this up or I got beat here. You gotta stay there. You gotta stay looking forward and go to the next play and figure out a way to win that play. And, I'm sure he has those moments where you get stuck on one play in practice, but I think he does do a better job of moving on to the next one, trying to figure out a way to get a hand on the ball here and there. Like I said, it's the beginning part of camp for some of these corners. It's going to be a little difficult because they get a good chunk thrown at them. And, once it gets pared down, once we kind of figure out who can do what and what's the best thing for us, and then those guys can really get in a good groove.
Hey, Adam, it's Kim Jones. When Le'Veon talked to us, and I honestly have no idea when that was, a week ago or whatever, and he said he thought he was in good shape last year, but now realizes he wasn't even close and vowed to be so much better this year. If you didn't know he said those words, when you watch him on the practice field, is that still apparent to you? And if so, what do you see that tells you, oh, this is a little bit of a different and Le'Veon would say better Le'Veon Bell?
I think the beginning of camp, last year, I don't know if I'd been able to make that comparison before we really started getting going. And then when I see him move around, some of the cuts that he's making, some of the, where he kind of has to work his feet in the hole and he bursts through, you can notice a difference in that aspect. He's being a little hard on himself, but the fact that he's 210 pounds, I mean, the guy can run all day right now. I mean, he is in phenomenal shape. I mean, he really, whatever he did this offseason, I mean, he was really dialed into what he was doing. He was he's been ready to go since we've started. And, he's in probably the best shape of anyone on our team.
We'll take a couple more.
Adam, when you have a day like today where, or just any day where the offense dominates, the defense dominates, and it's clearly one side at practice, like how do you view that as a head coach? Does it get you two down or up, or like what's your assessment of that?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, and when you're the play caller, the competitive side of you want to win every day, but for our team that would never be good, because that means, hey, we're struggling on one side of the ball, and when I see, hey, one day one side of the ball wins, and then the next day the next other side of the ball really steps it up and they have a really good practice, and then sometimes you kind of have that, one of those practices is like tale of two halves.
There's no audio on this.
And I feel like what we have going on so far out there has been good, because it's been a back and forth type of deal. Some days it's been the offense, some days it's been the defense.
Coach, can you talk about former Stony Brook product Connor Davis? I know you talked yesterday, you're loaded at tight end, but what have you seen from Davis so far in camp?
Yeah, I mean, I've been impressed. I mean, for this short period of time and things moving quick and so much to learn. I mean, when all of a sudden you pop and you're doing the right things and you're making plays, like that's something that, especially when you're light and we had no choice. It's like, hey, we need you to get in there and do this stuff. And when a guy goes in there and just figures it out and makes plays, that's a huge plus in my book.
Adam, sticking with the tight ends, last year to now, what did you see with Wesco and what he needed to do? I mean, he looks bigger this year. What have you seen?
Night and day. I mean, coming from basically he didn't have a position coach in college to where he is now, where he worked extremely hard, not only on, himself physically, but mentally. He knows so much more. He learns, he works so hard to learn all the things he needs to do, because we use him in so many different roles. Then he has a role in special teams. But just that year, it was bad Chris didn't get a play for us, because Chris is such a dynamic player. It was great for Wesco because he had to play. He had to get game reps. And that's why he was able to develop as quickly as he has. It was an adapt or die situation for him, to where he had to get in there, he had to figure it out. We had to get him ready, and he did it. And he went out there and he got better. And I think the more he played, the more confident he got, the more we started using him in different roles and putting him in positions where he was, possibility of getting the ball, running the ball, being the main inline blocker, whether it's on the backfield or on the line of scrimmage. I think that really helped his confidence. And then since he's been back, it's been impressive to watch how his brain works so much faster this year, and he's making adjustments, and, we can use him in so many different roles. And then let alone the physicality he plays with, when you're able to put a tight end on the end of the line of scrimmage and he can go up against outside linebackers and defensive ends and win and be as aggressive as him, and then line up in the backfield and just go downhill and then stroke a linebacker. I mean, it's been fun to watch his progression in such a short period of time.
Everybody good? Thank you, Coach.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you.